Hey everyone, welcome to the team. I am absolutely thrilled to have all of you here today. Listen, we're going to jump right into it because today's explainer is incredibly important. Think of this as our strategic blueprint. As your breeding manager, I want to walk you through exactly how we're going to overhaul our breeding pipeline, literally while we're driving it. We're making a massive, fundamental shift today. We're moving away from relying purely on traditional visual pedigree selection, and we're building a highly optimized, data-driven manufacturing engine for crop improvement. It's a huge leap for sure, but it is exactly what we need to do to integrate genomic selection and radically accelerate our genetic gains.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the global stakes we're facing are absolutely massive. We're looking down the barrel of a global population hitting 9 billion people by 2050. We've got a changing climate, we've got shrinking arable land, and yet, despite this looming deadline, public sector genetic gains for major crops have been stuck well under 1% annually for decades. Honestly, what we are doing right now as an industry, it's simply not fast enough. We need an absolute step change in our productivity. And to do that, we really have to rethink the underlying math behind how we breed.
And that brings us directly to our new operational playbook, the breeder's equation. Delta G equals genetic variance multiplied by selection intensity, multiplied by selection accuracy, all divided by cycle time. Now, I know you all know this equation, right? But I don't want us looking at it as just textbook math anymore. This is the actual control panel for our entire pipeline. For way too long, we've treated the breeder as this sort of artist out in the field. But to win in the future, we absolutely have to adopt a data-rich manufacturing mindset, intentionally pulling these exact levers to maximize our response to selection.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover rethinking our pipeline, decoding the equation, managing elite variants, integrating genomic selection, accelerating cycle time, and finally, managing the new pipeline. Starting right off with Section 1, rethinking our breeding pipeline. Before we even think about changing our methods, we have to change our target. We need to completely rethink our baseline resource allocation and get crystal clear on what we're actually trying to build. As a team, we've got to remember we breed for the market, not for academic perfection. And we do this by defining a really strict product profile. Say we're designing a new rain-fed rice variety. Our target isn't just, hey, let's make better rice. No, our target is specifically replacing the dominant variety Swarna. We outline the exact must-haves and value adds. It needs to be 20 days shorter in duration, resist predominant blast races, yield 10% higher in good conditions, 20% higher in a drought, and, this is key, have the exact same grain size and amylose content so the market actually accepts it. Having this profile centers our efforts and stops us from chasing traits that don't add direct commercial value. Moving into Section 2, decoding the breeder's equation. So now that we have our target, how do we actually reach it faster? Well, this is where our modernization truly kicks in. The traditional mindset in plant breeding has always been about introgressing a single complex line, basically trying to build the perfect haplotype in one lucky shot using really slow visual phenotypic selection. But the modern mindset, inspired by animal breeding and the one we are fully adopting, is all about quantitative population improvement. We're going to recycle the best genetics in a closed system. We'll be selecting parents not just on how they happen to look in the field that season, but based on their genomic estimated breeding values, or GBVs. We are shifting from hunting for a single perfect plant to continuously upgrading our entire elite gene pool. That takes us to Section 3, managing elite genetic variants. Now, what's really interesting about this quantitative approach is that to execute it, we actually have to track and manage this variance to increase the frequency of favorable alleles over time. Take the region of the XF5 bacterial leaf blight resistance gene, for example. By mapping these specific marker alleles directly against phenotypes, we completely stop guessing if our elite lines carry the resistance. We literally see the precise haplotypes. This means we can pick our crossing parents based on validated breeding values and known allele frequencies, entirely eliminating the false positives and false negatives that completely plague visual selection.
Next up, Section 4, integrating genomic selection.
Okay, so we've got all this great marker data, right? But how do we apply it without falling into a massive trap? Look, when budgets increase, a lot of people's first instinct is to just scale up traditional slow testing methods. You might be thinking, hey, let's just increase our population size from 100 to 1,000 to find that needle in the haystack. But the reality, 52%. That is the mathematical trap of selection intensity. A massive, incredibly expensive 10x increase in population size only yields a 52% gain in your standardized selection differential. It's just an untenable, highly inefficient way to drive genetic gain. We literally cannot just brute force our way to better crops.
And we see a really similar trap with selection accuracy, thanks to the curve of diminishing returns. Basically, genetic accuracy is the square root of heritability. What that means for us on the ground is that trying to increase your heritability from 0.6 to 0.8 by running vastly more field trials and adding testing locations, well, it's going to cost a fortune, and it's only going to increase our rate of genetic gain by about 15%. Chasing higher accuracy through endless field trials is just an expensive and inefficient pathway. Genomic selection isn't about running more field trials, it's about predicting performance so we can run smarter, much faster cycles.
Which brings us right into Section 5, accelerating our cycle time. If blowing up our population size and running endless trials isn't the answer, what is? Simple, reducing cycle time. This right here is our absolute superpower. We are implementing an aggressive 1-year, rapid recurrent selection cycle. Traditionally, breeders wait until lions are highly inbred, which takes 3 to 4 years before recycling them as parents? We are completely decoupling parent selection from commercial line extraction. Check this out. Quarter 1, we intermate our selected lines. Quarter 2, we self-pollinate to generate S01 lines. Quarter 3, we run rapid agronomic trials. Or better yet, use GEBVs to predict performance without even full phenotyping. And by quarter 4, we take the absolute best performers and immediately intermate them again. 1 year. The whole shebang. 1 full cycle. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why this strategy is so devastatingly effective. Let's look at the math. A conventional program taking 4 years per cycle, evaluating 1,000 lines, yields about a 2.22% genetic gain per year. But our rapid cycle program, even evaluating a fraction of the population, just 100 lines, because it's cycling 4 times faster, it delivers a massive 4.66% genetic gain per year. Smaller populations cycling radically faster absolutely dominate large populations that are cycling slowly. This is exactly how we integrate genomic predictions and win.
Finally, Section 6, managing the new pipeline.
Now, strategy is nothing without execution. We've got a literal blueprint mapped out for moving forward. It tracks the flow of information and genetic material across our entire pipeline, from the crossing block to the rapid generation advancement, straight through to genomic testing and yield trials. And I want to point out the specific accountability here across the molecular breeder, the agronomy lead, and the breeding lead. As we plug genomic selection into our pipeline, every single handoff needs to be absolutely seamless. We all have to know exactly who is accountable for what step in what season. So the crucial point is this. None of this works if we are still relying on muddy paper field books flying away in the wind. A typo rate of just 1% can severely reduce our response to selection. So we are mandating a complete shift to digitized data collection. We must use robust, interoperable breeding informatics platforms. Phenotype data, genotype data, climate data, it all has to flow seamlessly into our models to generate those GEVVs in real time. We are completely eliminating transcription errors and empowering rapid decision-making across the board. Guys, this is not just a technological shift, it's a profound cultural one. We are moving away from the romance of the breeder's intuition, and we're fully embracing the sheer, undeniable power of data, speed, and continuous optimization. We have the blueprint, we have the tools, and frankly, we have the mandate to feed a rapidly growing world. So my question to all of you is, are you ready to champion this new pipeline and drive our genetic gains into the future? Because honestly, once we master a 1-year cycle, the real question becomes, what scientific barriers are stopping us from pushing this to a 6-month cycle? Let's get to work.